I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Hi, I'm Father Tom Casey. I'm speaking to you from Dublin. Ironically, it's actually a rainy day, even though the song here is about a sunshiny day. But it's a lovely song. I can see clearly now. And there's a story in the Gospel of St. John in chapter 9, and it's about a man born blind, and Jesus heals him so this man can see clearly, just like the person in the song. The dark clouds that had him blind go away and everything. But when Jesus passes by with his disciples and they first encounter this man, the surprising thing is the conversation between Jesus and his disciples, because the disciples of Jesus turn to the Master and they say, Lord, why is this man blind? Is it because of a sin he committed? Or maybe the fact that he's blind from birth, maybe it's a sin his parents committed. So in other words, they're asking for a reason for his present blindness in the past, either in his own personal past or in the past of his parents. And Jesus' answer is really surprising, because effectively what Jesus says is, look, instead of looking to the past, look into the future. And Jesus says, it's not because of his sin or his parents' sin that this man is blind. He's blind so that the great works of God can be displayed. I think that story is really helpful in today's context of coronavirus. Now, obviously, we're interested in the causes of this virus, but what I learned from that story from the Gospel is Jesus is saying, don't get obsessed by the past. Don't get fixated by the past. Don't get locked into the past, but try and see how this situation you're in can open you into a better future. And already there's examples of people giving great glory to God. I mean, the doctors, the nurses who are doing such Trojan work so far beyond the call of duty, they're giving glory to God. The political parties who are setting aside their political divisions in order to work in together against this virus, they're giving glory to God. And the many volunteers who are giving their time and energy to people in need, they're giving glory to God. But yet at the same time, it's hard not to feel discouraged at times, because this coronavirus has changed our entire way of life, and we find ourselves wondering, when and if things will actually go back to normal. But perhaps we could get some inspiration from an illuminating exchange in that famous novel by Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. Now, as you know, in the novel, Lord of the Rings, this little hobbit called Frodo is given this incredibly difficult task of bringing a dangerous evil ring on a long journey so that he can destroy it. And Frodo is really frightened that the ring might destroy him long before he arrives at his destination. And at a certain point in the journey, they're in the caves of Moria, these dark labyrinthine caves in the mountains. And they're making their way through, guided by the wise wizard Gandalf. And at a certain point, they stop to take a break, and Frodo turns to Gandalf and he says, look, I wish it need not have happened in my time. Like, I'm stuck with this incredible burden of carrying this ring, and I don't know whether I can make it. And Gandalf replies and he says, look, so do I wish it need not have happened in your time, and so do all those who live to see such times. But then, crucially, Gandalf says, he says, but all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. All we have to decide is what to do with the time given us. So we didn't decide to be in this situation of coronavirus. We didn't decide to be in lockdown. We didn't decide to be in enforced social distancing. But all we have to decide is what to do with the time given us. So going back to that story of Jesus and the blind man, how can we find a way of seeing clearly? How can we find the present situation as an opportunity rather than a threat? We can't change the situation right now, but we can change our own attitude, our own choices, our own way of behaving. So all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And then perhaps we can learn to really see clearly. Yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Thank you for joining me. God bless you and goodbye.